WA2S Films, an award-winning nonprofit conceived to explore, observe, and produce programs about human-animal interaction. On this episode of The Rescuer's DNA,
we visited Austin, Texas. Austin knows how to run their city and make it a dog-friendly city. Some companies even move their headquarters there because it's such a dog-friendly city. You can bring your dogs to the office and people love that. The city has taken steps to bring in the community into their whole process of taking care of animals in Austin. If their shelter gets full, they send a message out to the community of Austin and say, can you please foster a dog for a couple of days? People come running.
It's an animal world out there. Watch the World Animal Awareness Society channel and feel right at home. Come, sit, subscribe, and stay a while.
When we first started, the city of Austin was saving 50% of the animals, and so we had a certain proportion of animals that were low cost, high turnover, but then we started getting into groups of animals that never got saved. So that was shocking again to me. I had sort of bought into the idea that whoever was dying probably had something significantly wrong with them.
The state veterinarian in Texas said, you need to be practicing space management, and I played dumb and I said, what do you mean? You need to go through and you get the ones that have been there the longest and you get the ones that are sick and the old ones missing some teeth and and I was very polite. I'm not going to argue with the state veterinarian, and she left and we all got a big yuck out of that. It was also very stressful. She has a lot of power. And we don't kill animals for space in Austin, and I don't recommend that communities do that if they can help it. Let's find live outcomes and solutions.
It is much simpler to kill them than to fix them up and find them another home. When we started, it was very controversial. The problem is the city, even if you don't cast the city as the evil character, the city is the one that's doing the killing, and so they feel a great amount of pressure anytime you're using those words and you're talking about these animals are going to die if so-and-so in the community doesn't help foster or adopt.
The center of it all, in my opinion, is what animals live and what animals die. And I think that people can be very much offended by this notion that the only reason they're dying is they're homeless.
I think that non-collaboration is a huge issue in this field, and it is frustrating because it's hard to bring people together. When I first got involved with Austin Pets Alive, I really wasn't expecting that lack of collaboration. The programs that we created are not rocket science. They exist in animal welfare, just not in sheltering.
The only reason those pets are dying is because they happen to be homeless temporarily. My first day on the job in Austin was the end of a 20-year drought. And we were at capacity frequently. And we were at capacity then. And we were not going to kill the old animals and the ones there that have been there the longest. So we set up some pop-up crates. And we put pets in there, and we're playing soothing music, and we've got the crates covered with towels, and we've got volunteers coming in and walking them more often because the confines of what they're being kept in temporarily are smaller. And we invited the media in, and we said, hey, we're at capacity, and there's these record floods happening. A 20-year drought is broken. When I left that day and went home, all those crates were empty because they were an emergency foster. And that's what I mean about a community ethic. We had Austin Pets Alive, it's a huge, important partner. We had over 100 rescues working with us.
A consortium of lots of groups, animal groups came together, the city government came together, the city shelter, and it was a really bold plan for back then. A lot of good things were happening, a lot of good momentum, but not the kind of impact that I think they were hoping for and we would have liked to have seen by 2001.
When you're being asked to do something that you know is wrong or unethical, and you do it anyways, we're supposed to be protecting them and we're supposed to be their voice. And that's why I said there'll be a time in history that we look back on this time in history and we will be considered insane.
Six wheels beneath a dozen dreams. 4 stops to go, but I'll take plenty more. 'Cause my home, sweet home, can roam just as far as this highway goes.
The city worked on a no-kill millennium plan. The goal was to increase public awareness, increase spay-neuter, increase adoptions, and increase volunteerism. They had some specific strategic initiatives, and they launched that in 1998, and some of those came to fruition, but a lot of them didn't, just because I personally think that it didn't have enough focus on getting the animals out of the shelter, is why it didn't make a huge difference in the save rate.
Now that commitment began with the mayor and council with a resolution. The city of Austin's progressive animal services policies has pumped $157 million into their economy since they've made that decision to stop killing homeless pets. The city manager and the assistant city manager and the mayor and council were committed. They didn't want anything covered up. They didn't want anything hidden.
So now we have an amazing relationship with the city of Austin. There are very few cities that have a nonprofit that is really focused on trying to increase the city's live release rate as their goal. The politicians care about what voters care about. And if people aren't badgering them and wheel squeaking about it, then they don't pay attention to it. Yeah, we're trying to apply other business world and nonprofit world techniques to this field, because this field is sorely lacking in being innovative and getting these animals out. We did this as volunteers and people in the community because we don't want to live in a community that is killing animals.
The community doesn't want us to kill homeless pets.
When we started, the only relationship we needed from the city was access to the euthanasia list. We didn't need any money or anything else. Just let us take the animals from you. We won't ask for another penny to be spent on them. Over time, the city council became more engaged, and they're the ones that really shifted change within our community. They pushed for it. They created a no-kill task force on the Animal Advisory Commission. Then they passed a resolution to get to 90% save rate as a city. And within that, there were a whole slew of things that the city staff had to do as part of the new city mandate, and that made a huge change. The city staff fell in line because that was now their job, and that's what, that's kind of how the city government works. I think that there is a lack of innovation in animal sheltering, and I don't know why that is, but there's so many other businesses that have grown by leaps and bounds and have innovated and innovated and innovated, and sheltering just seems to be very slow to the game. We are actually working with a retail company to help us figure out how to work with customers, help them see come to us, tell us what they want, and help them find what they want in this sea of lots of dogs that look the same. We purposely don't go to the traditional conferences because we don't want to be, we don't want our mind filled with things that don't work. When we started, there was a ton of opposition to no-kill. I don't think that there's any community out there that wants us to kill animals.
Sunny day, slight breeze, bills are paid. Sky blue, then suddenly bad news. So much for pleasure, so much for leisure. One step towards and two away from the treasure. Up from the rubble, a beautiful bubble. Now here comes a brand new burst of trouble. But maybe if I could see it coming, maybe I could avoid it. Maybe if I could be more pliant, maybe I'd be more important.
here because you love animals. Help save a life today. Your donation will send the World Animal Awareness Society team on our next mission. From all of us here at the World Animal Awareness Society and WA2S Films, thank you for watching The Rescuer's DNA. We'll see you next time.